Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Joining me tonight, my brother on these previews, as always, Darren. This is Premier League preview match week 9. How are we doing?
I am all good, brother. I'm all good.
What a festival of football we have coming this weekend. I don't know if anyone's looked at Sunday yet, but we have El Clasico, we have Inter Milan, Juve, we have United, Liverpool. We have a heck of a day coming on this Sunday without a shadow of doubt. But let's look at the Premier League anyway. Kicks off, I think, on Friday night, 8 o'clock. Arsenal versus Aston Villa.
Not an easy game for Arsenal, this, Niall. Not an easy game at all, Coming off last weekend against Palace, tough game. This is another tough game, I have to say. Villa haven't always put their best foot forward this season, but on their day, they're capable of beating anybody, if you ask me, I have to tell you.
Yeah, they're going to be looking to bounce back after that bad defeat to Wolves, aren't they?
They are, absolutely. I mean, it's been sort of peaks and troughs for Villa this year, hasn't it, so far? You get good results against teams. They came to Old Trafford to beat United 1-0. Had a great result. And then they go away then and they lose a game against Spurs handily, and then they pick up a win, and then they, so it's been very up and down from Aston Villa, I have to say. But I think Villa are getting to the stage where they're enjoying playing some of the better sides now, because maybe they feel like they're a little more competitive now against the bigger teams. Whereas, when you come up the first couple of seasons, you're trying to pick up your points against the lower sides in the league, which will keep you in the league, and then you're trying to keep the goal difference down against the bigger teams. Right now, Villa, with some of the players they have and with the squad they have, Villa feel like they can beat teams on their day, They really do.
What's your call on this one?
I think I'm going to go score draw. I think maybe 1-1.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think 1-1 could be a good show for this one.
Yeah, let's get into Saturday. The lunchtime kickoff, Chelsea versus Norwich. This is going to be very one-sided, isn't it?
This is going to be very one-sided. I was actually going to make a change yesterday in my fantasy football team, and I was going to take out one Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo and replace him with one Mr. Romelu Lukaku, thinking I've seen that Chelsea have 2 or 3 games now in a row that are decent enough, and I thought, there's goals like this for him, and obviously he's injured last night, so I'm thinking, where are we here? Now listen, Chelsea should still have more than enough for Norwich, more than enough, but with the possibility of maybe Lukaku and Werner being out, it just makes things a little more difficult. It maybe makes that 4-0 a 1 or 2-0. You know what I mean?
Creates an opportunity for a couple of players, though, doesn't it? Really, when you think about it, because
it does.
It does. They're drenched in talent.
Yeah, and I think at times, it can happen. It can happen for not for a reason, but they can just somebody can step out, and all of a sudden, Rashford got his debut a couple of years ago for United, and it was a Thursday night type of thing. They were playing Netherlands in the Europa, and somebody dropped out just before kick-off, and he came in, scored a couple of goals, got to start against Arsenal the weekend, and all of a sudden it got the ball rolling. There's no saying like Callum Hudson-Odoi or somebody like that couldn't do that for Chelsea, maybe get Havertz back into the side again, and Pulisic coming back from injury and stuff like that. They've an abundance of talent going forward, don't they, Chelsea?
Yeah, I was thinking it could be a big game for the likes of Ziyech, come back in and stake a claim again, because he's been out on the wind a bit,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but comfortable Chelsea win here, don't you think?
I'm going to say 2-0 Chelsea.
Yeah. Palace versus Newcastle.
Palace versus Newcastle is going to be a good game. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I think obviously Graham Jones is in charge of Newcastle this weekend, isn't he? Yeah. So he'll want to. I don't think he's going to be staking a claim for this job, but I think he might be staking a claim to stay around, and keep that kind of cohesion between the old and the new and stuff like that. I think a new manager coming in would be mental not to want to keep a coach like that who could add a little bit and who knows the players and stuff like that. So yeah, I think Newcastle will do all right here, but I do think Palace will have enough to get themselves over the line here. I think this is the type of game that Vieira will like. If you look at how they were able to cut through Arsenal the other night, I think this is set up for a Palace victory, and I'm going to say 3-1 Palace.
Yeah, good show. I was thinking 2-1 Palace.
Yeah,
but definitely a Palace win anyway.
And a big shout out to the boy Conor Gallagher, because I think he's an absolute baller. I know he's another Chelsea player, but he's a really good baller, this kid. Not only is he technically very, very good, He's a winner. He wants to win every ball, and he'll get down dirty for you, and pick the shovel up and dig you out of a hole when he needs it. That's a sign of a good footballer, if you ask me.
Yeah, he was very good against Arsenal.
He was very good, yeah.
Everton versus Watford.
Yeah, I suppose Everton have kind of hit a bit of a sticky patch, haven't they? The goals have dried up a little bit. Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, watching from the stands last week. Solomon Rondon hasn't really hit the ground running just yet. They're a little bit goal shy, are Everton. And they've just started to concede one or two. I think when things were a bit tighter at the start of the season, they were getting those 1-0 victories maybe. But I think now it's a little more difficult, obviously, because they're A, conceding more, and B, they don't have as much ammunition going forward. Watford, under Ranieri, will look to bounce back from last week, won't they? After a very tough afternoon against Liverpool. I expect a much better showing from Watford. And I think they might get something out of this Watford. I think they might frustrate Everton. I think they might even score first and cling on for something. I'm gonna say 2-1 Watford here.
That's a big shout. That
is a big shout.
I was thinking the other way, 2-1 Everton. I just think the quality that Everton have in there. I think with the boy Digne and obviously our own Seamus Coleman and stuff like that, I think they could be too strong for them, And the Alan in midfield and all.
He's a quality footballer, the boy Alan. Absolutely quality, I must say.
I just don't know whether Watford have an answer to that.
I think they've got ammunition, Watford. I think the boy Sarr is going to trouble anyone. And as good as Digne is going forward, I think he's slightly susceptible going backwards. And I think they'll be big and physical, and they'll get in Everton's faces. They won't roll over to be tickled like that. You know what I mean? I think they'll do all right, Watford, I have to say. And this is the kind of banana skin that for a couple of years now, Everton have been falling over. It's those games at home against the lesser sides where they drop points, and I kind of think it might continue.
Yeah, it could be interesting. Benitez versus Ranieri from a tactical point of view,
Yeah.
Interesting conundrum. Leeds versus Wolves.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough game for both sides, isn't it? Wolves.
Leeds in need of a massive game, aren't they?
Leeds need a big win, but I mean Wolves kind of gonna try and carry themselves on the crest of a wave from last weekend, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's an unbelievable comeback victory away to Aston Villa. I think we spoke about it last week, and we fancied Villa to do Wolves over, and when it got to 2-0, I thought we've nailed this on the head. And obviously Wolves turning around the last 10 to 15. They look so much more potent at the minute, Wolves do. And I think that's where Leeds are going to struggle with that lack of firepower that Leeds have, and with the kind of strength that Wolves have going forward. I think it's only a matter of time as well, by the way, before we see the boy Adama score a couple of goals. Like he's doing everything but put the ball in the net, isn't he? His play up to about the 18-yard line, you could say, is some of the best in the league. And then when he gets to that 18-yard box, you're thinking, Jesus, has this guy played football again? Because he starts to fall over and he loses his balance and the shooting's off target, and you're just like, Jesus.
It's a poor pass or whatever it is.
Doesn't he? It's so poor. But I think against Leeds, there might be a little bit of extra space. I'm going to go for a Wolves win here, and I'm going to say Adama Traore gets on the score sheet.
I went for a draw.
Okay.
I think I don't know how to read into that performance last week against Wolves. It was a great comeback in the last 10 minutes to win 3-2, but I don't know whether it tells the tale of the whole game. Villa did have their chances, so I just think with Leeds as well, I think they're in need of a big performance as well. They're banging trouble at the moment, you know what I mean, and they don't want to be slipping anymore.
No. So
I think probably a draw, which on the face of it, Wolves would be okay with. On the face of it, Leeds, it doesn't really help their cause, really, But again, going to Ellen Road, it's a tough place to go as well, you know what I mean? So depends what way Wolves react to that as well. Southampton versus Burnley. Yeah,
could be a damn squib, this, couldn't it? Could be a very damn squib. Two poor football teams. By the end of the season, if these two are in the bottom 5, I won't be shocked at all. Will either of them get relegated? I think there's a possibility, I really do. I think there's a possibility either of these sides could go. I know Southampton have done quite well against some of the better sides this season, but they've lost against some of the poorer sides again. I think Southampton, though, at home are going to be a little bit too much for Burnley, if I'm honest. I just think from a footballing point of view, they play a little bit better football. Things move a little bit quicker. And I have to say, as poor as they can be at times, I do have a little place in my heart for Hasenhüttl. I think he's a decent manager. I think he knows what he's trying to do. You know, I think he's tactically understands what's necessary. I think, again, at times, maybe they don't have the squad and the players to implement the plan that he puts forward. But I do like Ralph, I have to say. And I think Southampton are going to have enough for Burnley. And I'm going to say 2-1 to the Saints.
Good shout. I went for another draw here again because I think Dyche will just set up with that 2 banks of 4, you know what I mean? And I don't know whether Southampton have enough in them to break that down.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough guile in there, you know, and I think Ward-Prowse might be missing still, isn't he?
He could be still on because he got a straight red, so it's 3 games, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think he's missing for this as well. And I think when he's not there, they lack a little bit of maybe ambition, for lack of a better word, that creativity, and also that dead ball that he has, which is outstanding, you know. So yeah, I think he's the guy that they look to, and when he's not there, there's a bit of a void there. So I'm thinking a draw. But I wouldn't recommend it as a game to watch. I'd say it'd be a tough out watch.
Or to bet on, because it could go absolutely either way, really, couldn't it?
Absolutely. The 5:30 game, which I think is a belter of a game, it's one of the best games of the weekend, I think, as well. Brighton at home versus Man City. It's going to be absolutely awesome.
It should be awesome. Should be played at a great tempo, shouldn't it? Brighton know how to play football the right way. We're massive fans of Graham Potter. And I think Brighton will put this up to City. I don't expect them to go out and roll over at all now, I have to say. I think they'll try and get on the front foot, and they'll try and get at City with the pace down the sides and stuff like that, you know, and they'll try and keep it tight at the back. You know, City don't always, when they've got the silky football, there's no necessarily cutting edge all the time, which is what lets me down with City, you know. I think from a footballing point of view, they're a great side, obviously, but they are lacking a little bit of a cutting edge, aren't they? And I think maybe that could come back to bite them on Saturday. I think Brighton will get something out of this. I'm going to say this is a 1-1.
I went for a City win. The only reason I went for a City win is because they looked so good during the week against Bruges. But I know you don't really read into that, but still they're in form there. They're hitting the back of the net. They're on the scoring vein, if you like. And I just think with Chelsea playing Norwich earlier in the day, I expect Chelsea to do the business there. I don't think City can afford that gap to be opening that much, really. You know what I mean? No,
absolutely not. I think there's a lot of clubs can't afford that gap to be widened, you know.
Yeah, but I definitely think it'll be a tough game for City, all right. And I expect Brighton to do well, but I expect City to probably run out winners, maybe 2-1 or 3-1 or something like that. Let's move on to Sunday. This is a game I'm really looking forward to. Brentford versus Leicester. 2 games that want to play football. I don't know if you watched Leicester there yesterday in the Europa.
I did. Caught the highlights of them.
Daka was unbelievable, but boy God, they made a meal of it for the first 30 minutes, you know.
They did. They look quite un-Brendan Rodgers like at the minute, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, because he's always built things on having a nice solid base from the back. And you can kind of see they're missing a couple of players in there, aren't they? Yeah. I think the boy Ndidi has been in and out of the side a little bit. And then they've obviously had the issues with the centre-backs, where he's played the boy Daniel Amartey, who's actually a holding midfielder. He's not a centre-back at all. You've had Evans come back into the team, Soyuncu, and then Vestergaard as well came in and out. Again, they're missing Wesley Fofana. I think if he's fit, he starts every single game. The kid's unbelievable. He's, you know, when he gets back, we'll all be delighted to see him. But I think, you know, within a year to 18 months at Leicester, when he's back up and at it, all the biggest football teams in the world are going to be looking at this kid. You know, he is super, really, really super. Nothing the kid can't do. He's quick, he can head the ball, he reads the game well. Athletically, he's really good, you know. And I think they're missing him badly. You know, when you take him and Wilfred Ndidi out of your side, it really creates a soft centre for teams to get at, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Were you impressed with Daka the other day? He looked very good, didn't he?
Was impressed with Daka. I was impressed with Daka before he came, you know. He's come with a good reputation. He knows where the back of the net is. And he's quick and he's lively. He's very, very busy. You know, he's extremely busy. He's like that sort of a Carlos Tevez where he's always trying to have a little nibble at you just to see if you cough the ball up and he can pounce on it that kind of way. Do you know what I mean? And it was actually something I spoke to someone about today, and I said, no, I wouldn't be surprised now that Rodgers has seen what he can do to maybe see Vardy getting a rest every now and again and going with Iheanacho and Daka, you know, and creating a different sort of a problem for teams, not just a straightforward, you know, Vardy's going to play in the shoulder and try and get past you type thing, because he's getting on a little bit, Vardy, and the pace it's not diminished completely, but he's certainly slowing down a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it's great to have the options, though. Those options are brilliant there at Leicester up front. You know?
Great options to have, you know, and I must say, I'm a big fan of the work they do on the transfer market, Leicester. You know, their recruitment is excellent.
Yeah, this is a big match for them as well, though. They've been very indifferent in the league as well.
They have, and you know, we've spoken about the old Thursday nights and what they can do to teams. You know, it can be very, very tough on after the Thursday night football and stuff like that. Obviously, the game yesterday was Wednesday, but it's a similar sort of a thing. They've had to go away to Moscow. That's not a nice trip,
no.
You know, and that's not a nice trip. The boys are going to come back and they're going to feel that trip, aren't they? And against the Brentford side that you know are going to work their absolute socks off, and they're going to fight for every ball. They're going to scratch and claw their way through the game. I won't be surprised to see Brentford win this, I have to be honest. Although I do think we'll see quite a number of goals. I wouldn't be surprised if this is something similar to what you saw last week with the roles reversed, a 3-2 or a 4-2 to Brentford.
Interesting. I think it's a must-win game for Leicester.
Yeah.
And I think Leicester, will just edge it maybe 2-1.
I think if they haven't maybe beaten United last weekend, it's a must-win. But I think that gives them a bit of breathing space. You know, and it would just be like a side like Leicester to go out and beat United and then be turned over by Brentford the following week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, tough place to go, all right.
Really tough place to go. I'm not looking forward to that, I have to be honest with you.
Yeah. The other 2:00, West Ham versus Spurs.
Yeah, good North London derby, isn't it? Tend to be good games of football these. Spurs are beaten tonight, weren't they, by Vitesse Arnhem? It's a poor defeat for Spurs. They're languishing in that group at the minute now. Listen, I saw the team that was out. It's certainly not the team we'd be playing on Sunday. And Spurs have been a strange one, haven't they? 3 wins, 2 losses, and 2 more wins. And I mean, if Spurs win the weekend, depending on what way other results go, Spurs could be in that top 3. You know, a point dropped here or there from any of the sides, City and Liverpool or United, you know, and Spurs would be right up there. I have to say. So, yeah, I think this is a big game for Spurs. West Ham, though, are not going to roll over. Not at all. David Moyes' team, they just don't know how to roll over, do they? They've got great fighting spirit and stuff like that in them. And, you know, they've been very good, West Ham. They did another good win tonight. And I still think, even with the win tonight, he was able to rest a couple of boys.
Yeah.
You know, you saw the boy Yarmolenko play tonight and stuff like that. And he was able to give Mikel Antonio a rest, and they still got the goals. And he rested the centre backs. He played Diop and Dawson tonight as well. And I think it was a good win tonight, but I think he still left himself with plenty in the tank for Sunday. I think this is going to be a score draw.
I went for a West Ham win.
Yeah, I'm not shocked at that now, I have to be honest. And I won't be shocked if that's the way it finishes. I just think, I think by the end of it, it'll just be level. But I wouldn't be surprised to see again that West Ham maybe dictate the play in, and just Spurs are able to get a couple of goals, and you know, a 2-2 sounds like could be something that we see on Sunday.
As you said, it's an interesting tie insofar as if someone runs out the winner of this, depending on how results go, you could be right up there. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's definitely an interesting one. There's definitely that little carrot dangling there that you get your result and get your 3 points. So both teams could definitely go for it. But I don't know. I think Moyes with West Ham at the moment, I think he knows his players inside out, and tactically, I think he's really, really good. You know, he plays definitely to their strengths. And with West Ham being at home as well, tough place to go.
It is a very tough place to go.
Then we round out the weekend, obviously, with United versus Liverpool. We'll have our preview is dropped, where we did it on the Shankly sessions, looking at the game and breaking it down. But overall, you're thinking?
Listen, great football match, great game to round out the weekend, isn't it? You know, this is the biggest game in world football for me. I've said it before, you know, and I'll say it again. And if anyone wants to argue, that's all right. But this is the biggest game in world football. Liverpool and Man United. Form kind of goes out the window a little bit. As United have seen over the years when we've been the dominant side, and we go to Anfield and we have our feathers plucked and stuff like that, you know. So it's the form goes out the window. This is going to be about who wants it most on the day. I think Liverpool will want this game, but I think from a United point of view, they need this game. You know, there's a little bit of redemption in this for United because they've hiccuped and fallen over quite a bit lately in the Champions League, obviously getting a couple of late winners and then the league getting rounded out by Leicester and stuff like that. I think this is a much bigger game for United than it is Liverpool. I think Solskjaer needs this, but I don't necessarily think they'll get the result that they want. I'm going to go for a score draw. Again, I think there'll be goals, and I think I'm going to say 2-2.
I'm going to go for a Liverpool win. I think 3-1. I think this could be a game where Klopp could expose Ollie's naivety in terms of understanding his starting 11. And this is a game where I think Ollie should lay down a marker in terms of picking his team and picking his best 11, as opposed to satisfying the stars, if you like. And I just think, I don't know whether he's strong enough to do that. I think if it was roles reversed and it was Jurgen Klopp, I think he'd have no problem doing it at all. But I think Liverpool structurally understand their setup better. I think they're playing out of, albeit, okay, you could talk about the Brentford result and stuff like that, but I think they're playing at a level above that at the moment. And I think United are still trying to find that level, and they're trying to structurally find what's best for them and stuff like that. And I think when you're in that kind of position, I think it's a real opportunity for a team to go in there and go, you know, Maguire's in there, he's not sure at the moment. Lindelof, there's no confidence. Shaw, can he live with Salah? You know, all those kind of things. I think if you look at the other end and you have Rashford there, I think with Matip there and Van Dijk, and obviously Trent has his frailties at time in defence, but I think there's enough cover there to handle Ronaldo. I think there's enough cover there to handle Rashford and those other players. And I just think with Van Dijk on the other side, potentially with Robbo, although he could easily play the boy Simicus, no problem, because Robbo's form has been a little bit indifferent this season. But I think where we are at now, we're in a much better place than where United are at the moment, and I think it's an opportunity for us to lay down a marker, and I think that's what we want to do. Now, at 6:30 on Sunday evening, I might have a very different view, but who knows? But I think I'm going to go for a Liverpool win.
Yeah, I you know, I can't argue with the point you put across, and if it happens, I won't be absolutely shocked either. You know, I just think there's way more on the line here for Solskjaer and for this United side. Yeah. And I hope that spurs them on to showing what they can do and kind of getting that best side out, you know.
And they have in the past, in fairness.
Yeah.
In fairness, when his back has been against the wall, they've come out for all guns, you know. So and that could easily happen. I mean, they could go out and have the performance of a lifetime, and we could have another Brentford or something like that, you know what I mean? Where we just absolutely shatter, you know, who knows? But I just think there's a kind of a steely eye about this Liverpool team at the moment. They're hurting from last season, where they didn't do themselves justice for obvious reasons, lots of reasons. And I think there's a real go in them this season to lay down a marker and show what they're about this season with those players being back and stuff like that, you know. But definitely it's going to be a huge fixture, and certainly it'll be an interesting Premier League table at the end of this weekend anyway, depending on how fixtures go. Darren, as always, a pleasure. This has been your Premier League preview, match week 9. As always, Dynamo Podcast Network for the video, Spotify for the audioverse show. Drop your comments into the video, of course, and your likes and your shares, and subscribe to the channel as always. Also hit that bell notification if you want to be notified every time we put content, which is basically going up on a daily basis at this stage. And if you want to contact the show, we're on Twitter at @the_upper_tier. The guys on Facebook and Instagram as well, the upper tier. Till next time, my friend.
Thanks, brother. Take it easy, my man.